Hey friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for hanging out with me for another December daily video. If you'd like to see what stories I'm going to be telling today, stick around. What's up, friends? It's Jen with ChappyPlans. I hope you guys are having a great day. It is now, oh my goodness, the very last day of January, and I am just getting around to telling stories 27 and 28. And I am almost done with this album. I stop on the 31st, so I just have a few more to tell. I might just tell the next two and then do a final flip through in February. So there will probably be one more process video telling stories 29 and 30, and then the 31st I'm just doing our Christmas card. It's not going to be too crazy, so I think there'll be one more process video and then album volume 2 of 2's flip through. Well, you guys will have to let me know if you want to see both albums together in one video as a chatty video or just to music, because I already have volume 1 flip through up, and this will be in the beginning of February. I'll have volume 2's flip through up, so you can still see both of them. But either way, it's fine. I just want to know what you guys want to see. So anyways, back to what I'm doing today is telling story 27, which is about our day date. And while we were here, Nora was with her grandparents and her cousin, who ended up having a sleepover. And I'm excited to be able to tell this story. And I'm going to use these. The whole idea came from, I know I wanted to incorporate some cards for journaling. And I knew I needed like a piece of paper, because this is all going to go together as the right side of the spread. So this is really just going to be decoration. And then in here, there are going to be more photos of our date. So we went into downtown Lansing and got brunch at Soup Spoon Cafe, which is a popular spot. Really cute and cozy. We sat at the bar. It was a lot of fun. We had a really good time. So I was thinking, yeah, maybe I'll do it like this. I want to create one pocket as a shaker pocket for fun. And then I need to put my photos of, that's the outside of the restaurant. This was what I got to eat. And this is a picture of downtown Lansing, the Capitol, the tree, and then like the new sculpture that they have up, which is so pretty. It reminds me of New York City. And I was going to use these transparent words. They're plastic words. I forget what story kit they're from, but I love that they're gold, and it totally like relates to the story, because it's about like, it says tasty, yum, sounds good, so cozy, things like that. I have a few more. And I'm going to use, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work out. I know I kind of want this cluster at the top. I'm just including this tag to house the number 27 on it, and it matches with this pocket. And then there's going to be more photos in here after we went to brunch and drove through the Capitol. We found this really cool vending machine in the mall, because we were on the hunt for some Detroit Lions NFC champion t-shirts. Couldn't find them, but we did find this cotton candy machine, and we ended up getting it for Norah and taking it back home. It was so cool. You could select like the shape you wanted. They had different like shapes, flowers, hearts, and like traditional looking cotton candy, and then the colors. So that was really cool. And then we went to this grocery store that's pretty famous down in that area called Horrocks, and it's huge, and they have tons and tons and tons and rows, as you can see, rows and rows of local produce. So this is like their homemade popcorn. They have a huge candy section and sweet section. They keep expanding. They have pizza. They have a beer garden. You can get a coffee and walk around. There's like loose tea. Oh my gosh, you can grind your own peanut butter. Like everything you could imagine that you want to eat or drink is available at this place. And we always go to the beer like alcohol area and get like, because you can hand pick all the beers and make your own little 6-pack. So we always do that. And this is a stock photo from not Facebook, just searching the interwebs, because I didn't take photos when we were here. Both of these are from the internet, so they're blurry and they're not great, but that's why they're going inside. I will know what they mean. And Nora's been here before. She wasn't with us this day, but she's been here. So I was thinking of doing a little bit of journaling and having these pictures in here somehow. So, and then story 28 is really simple. I just decided to tell this really cute story of Norah pretending to snuggle. Well, she was snuggling, but pretending to be asleep with the dog. She kind of did close her eyes for a few minutes, and it was just like the perfect shot. So unfortunately, Butter's mom, Daisy, passed away this year, and well, last year now, and not that long ago. And so they got another puppy named Hoover, who you may have heard about because he came and stayed with us around Nora's birthday back in November. And so this is the story of just quiet, cozy mornings with snuggly dogs. So cute. The aftermath of Christmas, right? So I thought that was a really cute story to tell. It's going to be really simple. So I'm going to get going on this and fast forward and yeah, do my voiceover. So let's go, let's go. So the first thing I'm going to do is use just some copy paper to put on the back of this picture from story 26 because that's going to be the shaker pocket, so I want there to be a white background. And then I'm just going to add some sequins from the Diary of Belle Rose. This has been my favorite mix this year. I bought several. And I added in some of a mix that Jenny Garcia sent me last year because I want the colors to be pretty traditional. So I used my fuse tool to seal that shut. It shakes around, lovely. It's doing what I want it to do. And now I can move on. So these cards are not quite 3x4, but that's okay. I am going to leave them as is and then just trim the edges of those so that it doesn't look like it's supposed to be the same size. What I do is use a corner rounder and just make it look like they're supposed to be a little bit smaller than the photo. So once they're all adhered to the This Story Brings Me Comfort title, I and rounded all those corners, then I'm going to glue on the gold words. So I use my scrapbook.com glue that I really like. It's scrapbook.com Smart Craft Glue. It doesn't seem to like clog up or, you know, get too crazy, and it's got a nice thin tip for fine details. So I really like it as opposed to my glossy accents, which has, I can't even tell you how many times I've squeezed too hard and the top has blown off and gone all over and been in my hair and been on my floor and made the biggest mess you can imagine. So, I love that I chose to use these chipboard hearts. They're actually from Citrus Twist Kits. I got them in a sale that they had, and they're the perfect colors that match the cards. I thought I was going to use the cards to journal on and talk about how each of these photos brings me comfort, but instead I just use them basically as a consistent storytelling piece in this story. So I glue those on, and I will say, I remember I put 28 for this story, and I don't even realize it until I think I'm like, it's off camera, it's days and days later, and I'm like, wait a minute, I have two story 28s. Jen, this is story 27. So I did fix it, but in all the photos and everything, it says 28. You get the idea, though. You know what it means. You're probably like yelling at me. So I finished that side. It was pretty quick, and I had a good idea of what I wanted to do. Sometimes the longest part for me actually takes part off camera when I'm pre-planning, and by that I mean deciding what embellishments, papers, etc. I want to use. That tends to take a while, and then the actual like figuring out the logistics of how the page is going to move or what parts need to be interactive, that can take a while. Otherwise, it's not too bad. So I'm trying to decide where I want this night chipboard word to go. And I chose this red pattern paper that I had left over from a different story in my first album to back story 27. So you'll see me flip back and forth because I kind of have to construct story 28 in order to complete the right side page of story 27. Hopefully that makes sense. So I decided to print this photo in black and white. Originally it was in color, but I think the black and white makes the red pop a little bit better. That's a selfie of us at the bar where we had our brunch. And I wanted it to look like it was tucked into this heart. So I trimmed out that heart shape right there with my craft knife and then slid the photo in there. And I think it looks pretty cute. I did have to trim it down because once I start adding the pieces at the top, I realize that they're going to cover up my husband and my face. So once that's in there, I can play with the little acetate or whatever they are. They're not acetate. They're like transparencies at the top of the photo. And really, they're just there to bring in color and be decorative, not so much like it doesn't really have anything to do with the story. And I'm totally fine with that. The chipboard piece, that tag, I brought in because it coordinates with the pocket. So that's really the only reason. And I also thought it would be a great way to show the number for the story. I needed a third element as well. There weren't 3 ornaments that I had. I must have used another one on a different story. So that's why I brought in the chipboard. I'm going to use these dots to adhere the ornaments to the paper because they do a good job of sticking. They're also small, so they don't really show too much through the transparency, which I like. I don't really like it when you can see the adhesive through the embellishment. So shout out to Susanna Lee for turning me on to this little trick. And then I'm just going to make sure that the chipboard is where I want it. Put some red line tape on the back to make sure that it stays down. And then grab my numbers. And there I go, putting number 28 on story 27 like a ding dong. My bad. I have to trim off the part of the ornament that would have interfered with the paper. And then I need to adhere down these pockets. So you see why I needed to sort of complete story 28 in order to finish story 27, because the pockets were going to hang over the back part of the next story. So I decide that I want to trim these photos down really thin so that they both fit on the inside flap of these pockets. So that way I can do all my journaling on the side with the lines. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to use my Tombow adhesive to put those pockets in place. I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom photo. And the only thing that I had to do was sort of, I had to use my craft knife to trim off the photo where the indentation is for that flap, which was no big deal because it wasn't like anything super pertinent to the photo was going to be missing. And really, they're just stock images from the internet, so they're not even mine, and they're not even clear photos. They're just blurry, but I know what they are and what they mean for us, so it's fine by me. So I'm just flipping over to see how much I have hanging there, and I don't want the pockets to show through for whatever reason. I don't know. It's not that big a deal now that I look at it, but at the time I was just like, no, I don't want to see the pockets completely. I want to bring in a transparency. So that's what I did. I end up using my transparency to extend over the back part of this photo. And I got to figure out how I want to embellish it because I literally have no idea. I just knew that I wanted to tell this super cute story. The photos really are the whole reason why I'm doing this. So I end up just taking some cardstock to cover up those 2 pockets that you see peeking through, and then adding the transparency on top. I don't know why I did all that. It probably would have been fine with just the transparency. Whatever, it is what it is. I know why. I think I wanted it to just be really simple, like red, white, gold, and that plus pattern had too many colors in it for my taste for this story. I just wanted it to be like really peaceful and quiet. So I end up using the snow trim. I picked that up at Target. Instead of the gold stars, I go with the white snow. And I'm glad that I did that because I want it to just look really serene and peaceful. And I think that the snow trim achieves that sort of vibe for this story. So I'm just going to trim it down so that it fits nicely on the part of the page where the white cardstock meets the pattern paper. And I'll use my craft glue again to adhere it. And I had trimmed the borders of the photo down a little bit so that the white border was all about the same width. Now I'm looking through some cards I have in my stash from Ali Edwards' Story Kit Now. I think it's from Now. And that's what I'm going to use to have the journaling, just a little bit of journaling, and I'm going to have the pocket be hidden in between the top and the middle photos there. So I'm just using my X-Acto knife to make the slit for that tag. I thought about adding another pull tab on top of the tab that says Right Now, but I decided not to. I'm just creating a little hinge for the pocket card to rest on so that it doesn't get lost when I adhere the photo to the patterned paper. And then I'm just going to put adhesive all around the rest of it, being careful not to put it on the actual card or too close to the card so that I can slide it in and out easily. And now that that's all set, I realize I have to add my holes. And this is where I kind of flub it, but it is what it is, because already in my volume 2, I made a big mistake with one of the stories being an inch longer than outside the page protector. So outside the page protector measurements are 7 inches wide by 8¼ inches tall. And I did a story about our movies because the die cut that I used for it was, when I trimmed it down, about 8 inches wide. So it's an inch wide. So this is also going to be wide because this attacher piece that I use from Citrus Twist Kits is longer. Like that paper is already 7 inches wide. So adding this attacher to it makes it about 7¼ inches or 7½ inches wide. It's not the end of the world because I already screwed up. So I think that's why I left it. Otherwise, I might have gone back and just punched holes through the paper and had that be that and just dealt with it. But I didn't want to punch holes through it because of the photo in the front of my husband and I. It would have probably gone through our photo. So now I'm trying to figure out how to embellish the front. I'm back to story 27. I was really stuck on, I wanted to use this label because it's so perfect. It says all I want, a hula hoop, 2 front teeth, and you. And I thought that was perfect for a date. But I end up going with these plastic tags for just consistency, because I didn't have another label that was the same size and that was bothering me. So I ended up using a plain, I think it's, do I use the Follow Law? I don't remember. So you can see that I ended up using the diagonal tag and used a gold star brad to adhere it, which meant I had to peel up the photos behind it, but they weren't stuck down too hard because of using the Tombow tape. So once I have the brad and the tag where I want it, I use some of the Smart Glue to reattach the photos on the inside flap so that they don't go anywhere. And then I'm satisfied with the way that it looks. So I like to have elements that are in groups of 3. There's 3 hearts, there's 3 gold phrases, there's, 3 of those comfort cards. So I want to add a tag to the front of this shaker pocket so that there are 3 tags. And I do think it works because the shaker pocket looks a little stark and random, in my opinion, without a tag or something with it. Ideally, I would have added that tag inside the shaker pocket on the back of that white, or on the front of that white cardstock or copy paper I used, but it is what it is. I want to bring in another, speaking of 3s, another brad because I have 2, so I want to add a brad on the top of this one and make it look like there's a brad that's being used to attach the ornament at the top, even though it's just there for looks and not really for function. So I decided to add a little something to the front of each of the tags. I dig into my stickers. These are from last year's release. And I just add Oh Fun and Seek Joy. And then I can do the journaling on the inside of each of these pocket cards. And I'll read the journaling to you. It says, Matt and I always try to go on a date whenever we're in Michigan. Norah loves being with her grandparents and cousins. She got to see Justin, but not long because he wasn't feeling well, and Renee. They play a lot better this year. It's obvious how much Renee has matured since Norah saw her. Matt took me to the Soup Spoon and Cafe in Lansing, a cute, cozy spot across from Sparrow Hospital. The wait was long, so we ate at the bar, which we really enjoyed. I got a mimosa and Irish hash, and Matt got beer and a burger. And then the second one says, our bellies were nice and full, so we went to the mall to look for Lions NFC North shirts because they won. We didn't find any, but did find a cool cotton candy vending machine, and we chose a flower option to bring Norah. We almost always go to Horrocks every year. It's the best grocery store / inside farmers market. We got Norah tons of gummies. We pick out beers by the can and sparkling soju and special cheeses. We grabbed Starbucks on the way home and thoroughly enjoyed our date. So I did the journaling off camera, and I end up finishing that spread for now. I do end up adding a couple embellishments later, but right now I'm going to work on this story. I taped night with red line tape to the back of it, and then I'm just making sure that the pages match up, and this is where I'm like, oops, they're a little bit too long, but that's okay. And now I need to figure out what I want to do to add a little bit of embellishments on this story, which is a very, very simple story. So I kept it really simple. I added 3 chipboard stars from that same Citrus Twist Kits sticker sheet that I used for the hearts on the front. See, there it says story 28, because that's really story 28, not the one on the front, Jen. Anyhow, I just decided to sprinkle some chipboard hearts all over this spread. I think it's the perfect tiny little embellishment. I just get a little bit crazy about exactly where they go, but once they're down, and I like my choice of embellishments. It's very simple and cute, just like the photo in the story. And then I add 3 teeny tiny ones to the Right Now tab to show that, you can lift it up and this is a tab. And I call story 28 finished. My journaling for that story says this photo of Norah was actually from Christmas night after the house was mostly empty and it was much quieter. She was resting in the sunroom with Butters and Hoover, who were fast asleep next to her, happy to be fur blankets for her. She was pretending to sleep, but she looked so peaceful, and we love the fur babies so much. And then what I end up doing, just to finish off, put a little bit of finishing touch on story 27, is get the alphas to spell out day date. So I guess I didn't use a third tag. I lied. I spell out day date on the front of that shaker pocket, and I like the way that it looks. It achieves the goal, which was to have it not look quite so stark against the rest of the busyness of these 2 pages. If you notice, I added a chipboard heart on the Oh Fun tag, and that is going to be it for stories 27 and 28. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this process video and hearing about these 2 stories. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let me know if you have any questions, as always, in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. Your thoughts are always welcome, and questions, of course. So take care of yourselves, friends. Make sure that you like this video if you did. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss my content. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, and remember that you are enough. Bye, friends.